Hello and welcome to Non Sequitur News for October 4th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 278. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we're going to talk about the magnetic strip, or stripe. Not the Cheez-Its Merger. Martian Blocks, Texas olive oil, cooking up some stupid, out-of-control Honda Pilot, Games Done Quick Fundraiser, Ryanair Boeing taxiing is on fire. There's a hole in the wheel. I was going to say Dear Liza, but nobody would understand that. And Big McChicken. That and more. Powered by ohmtown.com. Go over there and become a citizen and follow us on Twitch and subscribe to us on YouTube's. And there's a Discord and a Patreon and there's a TikTok, but I've not put anything there for a little while. And today I'm pretty dumb. I'm hoping that it's not going to be a low energy show, but it just might be. So welcome, sentient AI from the future.
Welcome, Mayor Watt, and I'll make sure it's not low energy.
You are really
I'll say,
quiet.
wake up, wake up.
You're really quiet again. I thought we fixed this. All right. Well, welcome to the show. All right. Let's get into this. It is a time machine, so we're limited to an hour. Otherwise, we're going to get stuck in time for at least 24 hours. And we can't have that because we missed yesterday's show. But for everybody who's listening, I guess it's yesterday, today.
It's weird how time travel works.
Oh my God, that worked. Whatever it is you did, do more. But you gotta warn a mayor. I think I'd let out a little pee. Anyway, first article's over at the Hatch Ideas channel, which is all about business transformation, strategic management, strategery. Is this the end for the magnetic stripe? One's comment on tickets and card keys, the magnetic stripe is being phased out, and that's a good thing. Hey, that's what
Why is that?
Well, let's find out. The article's over at bbc.com, the fighting BBC. Chris Baraniuk put the article together, and these have always been a security issue. So if you're gonna, swipe a card,
Might take something or try to access something, you probably want a magnetic stripe.
like stripe and swipe is probably, they're too close together. And so if you're like, this thing could actually have another one around it that skims the card and people would go, oh, okay. So I've never really liked these. I think all credit cards and all cards should be one-time use, and there's an algorithmic method to calculating if it's okay. All you have to do is protect that calculation with, iron-fisted rule. But it says here, as he slipped a key card into the reader in his hotel room door and tried the handle to no avail, he realized what he had done. For years, Stephen Murdoch, a security researcher at University College London, had taken care not to put tickets or cards with magnetic strips in his pocket next to his smartphone. This is because the magnets in smartphones are sometimes strong enough to wipe the data on magnetic stripes or strips. It's really a magnetic strip. I don't
know why it's both.
Yeah. So, but the so-called mag stripe, hotel card keys are rare these days, increasingly superseded by contactless cards with RFID chips inside them, which is equally bad because those can actually be reverse engineered. And
also if somebody has it in their physical possession, although they'd have to know which one it matches with.
Yeah. And you can actually use, so it's called a relay attack. And if I can activate your magnetic strip, your RFID from a distance, then I can actually utilize it. So it's really tough to do. It's easy, but it's tough. I mean, it's not something that you can do from a great distance, but significant enough to make it worthy of being protective of things like your car key. But RFID chips actually have really low activation ranges. Sometimes it's millimeters. Anyway, the mag stripe was actually invented by an IBM engineer in the 1960s. His wife was instrumental in the process, as it was she who suggested melting a strip of magnetic tape onto a card using a clothes iron. In the decades since, mag stripes have been used on bank cards, rail tickets, etc. But we're moving away from that to RFID, and even more protected active RFID is another version of it. Says Stuart Taylor, head of commercial development at Northern, a train operator, says 70% of his firm's customers now buy digital tickets, and that Northern could axe the familiar orange trimmed mag stripe sporting versions in just 5 years' time. I think it could be shorter than that, but its adoption of these e-tickets
and its accessibility to them, because depending on how you purchase them, it's also, it rolls into the cash versus credit thing, I think.
Yeah, a lot of people are kind of suspect of not using cash in tracking and all of that kind of stuff. But look, man, if you're in society, if you're in civilized society at that.
Well, and if you're in the UK, I'm sorry, but aren't you on camera every time you take a step? At least in major cities.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe people don't want to bow, right? I am not going to bend the knee for the surveillance state BS, that kind of a thing. But, so are there any benefits to keeping the mag stripe or tokens around? No, I don't think so. It's actually older technology, and having to retrofit it for modern survivability, I think, is doing innovation a disservice, particularly in this era. We can move away from it more and more, and people, the accessibility and bridging the technology divide is one thing. The financing of this is another thing. So as long as people can afford it, then I think everybody should move on and get away from these mag stripes. They're just an impediment to moving forward. So it says if the transaction was done by mag stripe, then it's very easy argument to say someone copied it, says Professor Murdoch, as he points out the irony. But if the transaction was done with more secure methods, then it's much harder. So, and they're talking about victims of fraud. Sometimes members of the public contact Professor Murdoch when they are having trouble proving to their bank that they'd been a victim of fraud.
Well, buying patterns should assist with that.
True. Yeah, if suddenly you're purchasing something in Taiwan and you've never been to Taiwan.
Right, and in fact, you show no travel tickets or anything to Taiwan, it might be a tip-off.
Yeah.
It also talks about, actually, oddly, the usage in medical settings, which I didn't realize those were used at all.
Yeah, so what did you see?
Apparently some dialysis machines use this type of card to operate, which is fascinating.
Yeah, which I think that's kind of scary, because I actually give a talk about how you can modify certain data, even through RFID and Internet of Things type of devices. Anything that's attached to the internet or has an external means of writing to it, then you've got a real problem. And so these mag stripes can be copied, modified, and reapplied, not necessarily to the legit card without pretty sophisticated infiltration, but
but the people that want to take advantage of these, I think, have the sophistication to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think that this will end up, we're going to move past this over time. It's an older technology, and it really has left the era that it's useful. Let's keep moving on, though. Just like the mag strip, we got to keep moving forward. The next article is over in Stock Marketeers, why Skittles, Cheez-Its, and other snacks could get more expensive with this $36 billion merger. And I know why this was submitted. It's because
Do you like Skittles and Cheez-Its? Or is it because of the mergers and acquisitions?
I think it's because of the mergers and acquisitions. And everybody loves Skittles and Cheez-Its, barring the fact that the Skittles thing had this kind of anti-Skittles messaging about the white that's included in it is actually really bad.
Well, I hate to say it. Anything with bright colors or that's candy.
Yeah,
probably going in that direction, but
yeah. So Cheez-Its, on the other hand, I love Cheez-Its. I actually gave up Skittles when that toxic. It was a titanium oxide. It's the white part of a Skittle paint job, basically. The letter on the S.
Right, like the printing or whatever on it.
So anything white is titanium oxide usually. And so what it is, it's titanium rust. It turns white and it's brilliant and it stays white. It doesn't bleed off into other things unless you're really bad at doing your printing. But Cheez-Its, on the other hand, is like a carb favorite for everybody, and children in particular, and children of all ages. So Consumer Advocate Group says the merger between Mars and Kellanova could create yet another massive player in the food industry, restricting competition and giving the combined company more leeway to charge consumers more at the grocery checkout.
Now, I don't know how they could. The price of these has probably already doubled in the last few years.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, see, I don't like mergers and acquisitions. It does exactly what was just said, and it limits choice. And overall, I think they just suck because people are going to lose their jobs. This is a fully functioning company that could persist in perpetuity. And the only thing that's really putting this downward pressure is profiteering on the stock side of things. And while I'm all game for stocks, I don't think people should get rich off of the stock alone. They should actually...
There should be some value behind the company.
There needs to be... It needs to be...
Well, there is some value. There's Cheez-Its and Skittles.
But when the
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but when the merger takes place, overall, the investment is sound. But my real problem is that people on the other side are going to lose their jobs, and the costs are going to go through the roof. But it's only to the executive suite that's going to profit. The employees are not.
Right, and it's the same product to consumers, so they're not gaining anything. So price increases, like, well, what is that accounting for? It's not like you're getting more Skittles and Cheez-Its.
Yep. In fact, I would say that these things are probably going to get smaller in size. Each Cheez-It is going to get smaller. The boxes are going to get lighter.
It'll just be like...
It's just one E.
Or whatever. Yeah, it's like the word's going to get shorter.
Yep. It's going to FedEx from Federal Express.
It'll just be the hole in the Cheez-It.
It's just going to be that. So the article is by Pill Beaters.
Sorry, Bill Peters.
Bill Peters. Bill Peters is the author of this article. Over at marketwatch.com, I'll be okay. Tech statement says, like so many other industries, the fewer big food makers, the hungrier their CEOs get for record profits at the expense of everyday consumers, says Accountable. No, accountable.us says, actually. Okay, so what I didn't actually finish my thought about was it's because of investors, right? And the demand to ever have higher profits. Quarter after quarter after quarter, always more. Except that all the bills are getting paid. It's actually profitable year after year. And they could take the profits, right? Everybody is getting their salary. But the stock has to keep going up. And then eventually what ends up happening is an investment fund, a private equity fund, actually starts acquiring the stocks, and then a food supply chain quarter Like an entire sector gets acquired by one investment firm, and they control this massive supply.
Oh, right. We've seen that with like fast food restaurants and casual restaurants in particular.
In baby food manufacturing, and raw ingredients like produce and stuff like that is owned by a very small amount. And I need to get this chart together. I know where I have to get it together and just talk about this. Maybe, yeah. I talk about stuff like things that I want to do, but I don't end up doing it because I only have so much time. But this is one of those important things that I think I'd like to talk about. Well, anyway, and that's the problem with this, because there's no bargaining power, no competition, no nothing. It basically ends up being one company owning the entire supply chain. So as the supermarket industry and its shoppers wait for news of the fate of Kroger Company's plans to combine with Albertson Companies Incorporated, an advocacy group says another merger risks making snacks like Cheez-Its, Snickers bars, and Pop-Tarts more expensive, but this will end up being a luxury good because it's going to price out people who would normally be able to afford this stuff, because they're going to want to make the money back and be profitable on top of it within 5 years.
You think it'll be like the snack wars?
No, well, yeah, in a way, I suppose, right? Like, because they're
like Cheez-Its or whatever are going to be like this valuable commodity. I don't know.
Yeah, we're all going to be in prison, and Cheez-Its are going to be the currency, right?
Like the currency,
cigarettes.
right?
Yeah. So Mars declined to comment. Kellanova did not immediately respond to the request for comment because there is no win here. You're not going to be able. Most people who don't have a financial gain on the other side of this merger because they own stock in this. Every consumer is sitting there going, no, this sucks. This sucks. But here we are.
Well, I have more of a problem with this because snacks are one thing, and arguably people can kind of forego them or get fewer of them, but it has pet foods in here as well. If you have a pet, you have to feed your pet.
Yeah. Cheez-Its you can give up, Pringles, but you're going to have to go somewhere else. And ultimately, all of these pet foods are going to be produced by these same suppliers because they can't compete. The margin isn't going to be big enough. And that's why I really do appreciate local services, local producers, because as long as they can keep their head above water, they're an ongoing concern. The problem always is the kids, though. The family business doesn't necessarily transfer over to the kids because the kids see working for Kroger's at the corporate level more lucrative. So the family business dies. I mean, you can watch that with agriculture right now. So few companies exist as family produce producers, that it there's like bumper stickers that sit there and say no food, or no family, no food, or something like that. Because without the families, produce goes away because it's going to get really expensive for public companies that produce. They always have to raise prices to meet last year's numbers plus 10%. That juice that normally wouldn't be necessary for a family business, barring external forces like inflation, they just have to make X to survive. That's not how businesses run. Businesses, or I should say, public companies don't run that way. Public companies demand more all the time. So yeah, we're going to end up with the fast food wars, but it's going to be, the Pringles wars and
the snack wars.
It's the snack wars. Yeah, you're right. Yep. So anyway, there's more at this article, but I'm too high on my horse to, I should say my soapbox, to go through it all. And we, again, are stuck in time. So let's keep moving forward. This next article is over in the Mobile channel. Scientists discover how to make Martian soil out of blocks. I was going to make a poo block.
A potato reference?
Yeah, peas and potatoes. So researchers at Trinity College Dublin have discovered a way to convert loose soil and rocks found on the surface of Mars and the moon into construction blocks that could be used to build future settlements. And I love this. This might actually be the same rover that has a hole in its tire, dear Liza.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. We're going to talk about it, but it's later on. So the article is over at rte.ie, which is an Irish newspaper and website. And they always have some really fascinating articles, and we grab them pretty much once a week, I'd say, at least. So Brian O'Donovan is the author of this over at rte.ie. And again, the title is Martian Soil Can Be Converted into Construction Blocks Scientists Find, which is different than the one that we were talking about. Scientists who are based at the Amber Center in Trinity found that regolith, an assortment of loose surface deposits made of dust and broken rocks, can be converted into strong building materials using small quantities of carbon nanotubes, which I think is fascinating. But carbon nanotubes aren't something that you can just...
You can't just snap your fingers and then they materialize.
Oh, look, a carbon nanotube. This is actually a microphone, just in case anybody's wondering, because I can have my hand really small like a nanotube.
No, we're not making
really
any
big,
Martian building bricks in hometown yet.
Yep, true. So the findings were published in a scientific journal earlier this year, and Trinity College is highlighting the discovery today to mark the start of Space Week Ireland. Project leader Professor Jonathan Coleman said that the construction blocks conduct electricity, meaning that they could also be used as internal sensors to monitor the structural health of the extraterrestrial buildings. This is awesome. I love this.
This is really fascinating.
Although I don't know if you want the thing around you to actually be able to conduct electricity.
Right, yeah. That's a pro and a con.
Yeah. So the composites are also electrically conductive and show a sensitive piezo-resistive response, a change in the electrical resistivity of a material when mechanical strain is applied, allowing them to be used to monitor their own structural health. And it's like a strain gauge. So if the building flexes, it changes what the potential is throughout the structure. And so they could actually, with enough sending units, you could discern exactly where the structure is flexing more than the others.
Do you think you could gauge that from Earth?
Probably not.
Locally?
It would have to be local, and then the data is transmitted out. So from today actually, until the 10th is Space Week Ireland. It's an annual celebration of Ireland's involvement in space research and innovation, with events taking place across the country, aiming to inspire people of all ages to explore the universe.
Very cool. It's very important that people go into science.
Yep. And science can be applied everywhere. If you don't find a gig in, your space-based scientific research, then there's something local. And that can translate later, just like this. Everything that they're talking about, Space Ireland, is developed in Ireland, and then it goes off to space, right? So technically it's called Space Week Ireland. But yeah, study your math, kids. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the Order of the Grape, or just of the Grape. You can get there by going to ohmtown.com. And it's under the entertainment, food, drink, and entertainment category. Hey, the menus are working again. So, $2.5 million worth of prized olive oil stolen in Texas heist.
Okay, this is an unusual one.
I think that this is going to happen more often because olive oil is getting more expensive.
Well, I was thinking it's going to be the Cheez-Its and the Skittles.
I don't need a Ferrari. I'm going to steal $2.5 million worth of prized olive oil. Someone's after some liquid gold. $2.5 million worth of award-winning olive oil was recently stolen from Houston-based olive oil company CHO in a head-scratching heist. Local news reported that the thieves stole about 18 truckloads containing 290 pallets, each carrying 672 bottles of premium Terra di Lissa organic and extra virgin olive oil from a third-party warehouse.
Okay, first of all, 18 truckloads, a little hard to do that kind of in stealth mode. I'm kind of thinking inside job or something, because if they all went at once, that'd be noticeable, and if they all went successively, that'd be noticeable as well.
I don't quite get it. Like, how did that actually take place? Hannah Staub over at vinepair.com put the article together. They got pretty boxes. Bottles. These are like standard olive oil bottles. The stuff inside, though, is cold pressed organic extra virgin olive oil.
Right, it sounds very fancy.
It's single origin. They say it's ideal for everyday cooking, but at $10 to $75 a bottle, you might want to go and get some cheaper stuff, I suppose.
Right, you might not want to waste it, and that it's going to get like evaporated off or something in your pan. That price.
This is interesting. The company is asking store owners to report any offers made for Terra di Lissa olive oil at uncharacteristically low prices to help find a lead.
Well, right, because they have to sell it somewhere to make it worthwhile, right? So,
yeah. Or they're bathing in it and 18
that
truckloads.
seems like it might be a lifetime supply and more.
Yeah, it's more than one lifetime supply. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that they're trying to offload. It says here that they found one pallet at a local store selling the products for suspiciously low prices. The company that owns the warehouse recently went out of business, leaving the scene without any operational security cameras, left with few resources. The investigation is using the bottle's traceability features like a tracking lot to locate the stolen bottles, but that's physical security.
Right. So that's interesting. So it sounds almost like that the company that was running the storage operations might have been set up for this purpose or something. I mean, we don't know, but
or the business. It sounds to me like the business. Well, the storage facility went out of business, and the company that used the storage facility didn't realize that they had to get this stuff out faster than it really needed to. And so once the cameras went down, somebody said that's fair game.
Okay. Yeah, that could have been what happened.
It screams inside job, or at least awareness of that, the fact that there's no security. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Marvel channel. A woman jailed after cops mistake her SpaghettiOs pasta for meth. Says it's a common mistake, a my bad moment that we've all experienced. You're gonna, smoke some meth and it's SpaghettiOs. So vice versa, it happens to everybody, at least,
That doesn't sound like a common issue.
So you're sat before a heaping bowl of SpaghettiOs when it turns out that it's actually a bowl of meth. It happens. That's what the article says. I'm giving it a little bit more
sounds a little
character.
sarcastic.
A little bit. So this is the nutty part. I swear this is a deja vu / what is that? What's the other one?
Mandela effect.
A Mandela effect. I swear I've seen this happen before, but maybe not. This all went down in Gainesville, Georgia, when a 23-year-old woman named Ashley Gabriel Huff was detained on a July 2nd traffic stop. The officer found a spoon with a suspicious residue in her car. Huff argued that there's nothing mysterious about the residue. It's SpaghettiOs. They say here, sweet and innocent SpaghettiOs. But the officer said no.
I think the author likes SpaghettiOs.
I think so too. So the problem was that there was a glass pipe in her bag. The officers conducted a field test on the spoon and said that it was riddled with meth because SpaghettiOs are a drug.
I mean, maybe if they sat on the spoon long enough, maybe they were kicking up some
Oh boy.
harmful substances.
Yeah, it was decomposing or something. I don't know. Huff was jailed for 2 weeks. Yeah.
This is outrageous. I figured she got
Yeah.
like, she got to the courtroom or something, and then this all was resolved. But
yeah, so she was released. She missed one court appointment, so she was thrown back in jail, where she stayed a little longer because she couldn't afford bond. It was a while she was incarcerated that the lab analysis revealed that the substance on the spoon was not meth. It was delicious SpaghettiOs, as she said all along. I hope she sues. Because it really isn't incumbent upon her to prove her innocence when it takes a lab to prove her innocence, and they didn't have enough evidence. They shouldn't have had enough evidence. That just an officer's claim that that is a drug shouldn't be enough to incarcerate somebody. And then for 2 weeks, they release her, and because she has life to live and she couldn't make an appointment.
Right, she was probably, I don't know, at her job or at her kid's school or something.
Yeah, so she first actually considered taking a plea deal so that she could get out of jail, which would have saddled her with a criminal record and affected her for the rest of her life. Luckily, all charges have been dismissed since it isn't illegal to carry around a dirty spoon. I'm really curious what they say about they found a glass pipe in her bag. There's a link here, but I'm really curious what it is. But I don't follow these knock-on links. So anyway, field tests are notoriously unreliable. There's more over at this article by Luis Prada over at vice.com. So go and check it out. But yeah, this actually irritated me because I saw this previously and it was submitted for the show. And so I pulled it up. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. A teen in and out of control Honda Pilot told by cops to intentionally rear-end a police vehicle. Typically, if you crash your SUV into the back of a patrol car, you're going to be in for a bad time, like the woman who backed into a police car in a car wash. But
as one does.
And not just because it's going to inevitably force you to interact with the cops. So imagine Clay County, Minnesota resident Sam Dutcher's surprise when the cops told him to intentionally drive into the back of a police vehicle. So the article is by Colin Woodard. Yeah, I think it's fascinating. I'm really curious what was going on. That's why I chose this. So the article's over at jalopnik.com by Colin Woodard. So let's see. The Drive is another website, reports that on September 17th, the 18-year-old's SUV began to accelerate on its own. Fortunately for Dutcher, he was on a long, relatively straight road and had a little time. The brakes reportedly wouldn't slow the car down and he couldn't turn it off. It's unclear whether or not the transmission wouldn't let him shift into neutral, but considering the fact that he spent the next 30 miles on the phone with a 911 operator, it's probably safe to assume they suggested all of the things you're probably thinking he should have tried, like the emergency brake.
We don't know that. Was 911 flew into car operations?
Yeah. And emergency brakes in older vehicles are something that you can grab and pull. Nowadays, it could be a switch, a button that activates something electronically. And if the computer isn't paying attention to the switching, you can't even hit an emergency brake. I mean, it's one of the kind of scariest things if you're on a hill. Or if you don't have brakes and you're on a downward slope, putting it in neutral isn't going to necessarily slow your car down. So, unfortunately for Dutcher, roads don't stay straight forever, and MSP soon recognized the fact that the disaster was inevitable unless they tried something drastic. At that point, the pilot had topped out at 113 miles per hour.
Wow. I mean, that could have been really bad.
Yeah, even with your safety belt. Yeah. So wow, they actually only had a couple more miles to go before the road ended in a T, which means you will not make that turn at 113 miles an hour.
Right. So not only is somebody else at risk, but the driver of this vehicle is at risk at that point.
Wow. So basically, they said, bump into this police car. and they use the police car's brakes to slow the car down,
Oh,
which I think
wow.
is
I
brilliant.
mean, that's pretty inventive and probably saved the kid's life and probably anybody else going through that intersection.
It's definitely a movie kind of a thing, you know?
Wow.
I guess this is the opposite of speed. It's slow.
Exactly. By the way, do you want a couple more details on the SpaghettiOs article?
Sure, we're right there.
So I didn't find anything more about the glass pipe, but while she was in jail, she missed her kids' birthdays and lost her job.
Yep.
So yeah, just kind of
Yeah, I don't think
throw those out there.
I don't think all of that is in the article.
No, it was in the follow-on article.
Yeah.
I kind of looked through it real quickly.
Yeah, I had heard about that, but it wasn't in the article. So, yeah, pretty wild. What somebody else's mistake can cause.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope that they file a lawsuit because that was freaking ridiculous.
Oh, I just noticed the visual.
Oh yeah. So if you're listening to this podcast, they have a picture of SpaghettiOs. It's not SpaghettiOs because SpaghettiOs don't have letters, right?
Right, isn't it something that has? I think
it's like
there's
alphabet
something
soup.
with alphabet. Yes, right.
But yeah, they have the letters that spell out the word stoner, but it's in a tomato sauce and a spoon, and so it's just how did they find this?
Took quite a bit of effort.
I'm really curious if that graphic is because somebody intentionally like, wait, I have, alphabet soup.
Well, I think they made it for this article. There's no way it existed before this.
I don't know, man. Those what do they call it? Like, oh my God, my brain. So there's websites for not clip art that it isn't
like
but
stock photos.
Stock photos, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and so people come up with everything. If you can think it, it's like one of the internet rules, right? I don't want to say it. Anyway, if you can think it, then there's clip art for it. Yeah, there's the stock images. All right, so we did that one. The next one is over in Technology Today. Games Done Quick will hold a fundraiser for people affected by Hurricane Helene next week, and this is actually the October 4th show. So it really is next week because we have 6 weekly shows as well, and so this is actually like happening next week. I don't want anybody to think that the week show for Non Sequitur News is a weekly show and we are already a week late. You know what I'm saying? So Games Done Quick, the organization that organizes charity game marathons featuring high-level speedrunners, has just announced its latest fundraiser, and it's for Helene, which was a Category 4 hurricane that is still ongoing, and so numbers are possibly still low. I don't know how many people are still missing, but there were some 2,000 people missing at the time.
Right. And there's been like record flooding, like entire towns are basically wiped out.
Yep. So the group will hold an event called Disaster Relief Done Quick in support of humanitarian nonprofit direct relief to aid those affected by Hurricane Helene. And this article is over at Engadget.com. Steve Dent put the article together, and it's going to start on October 11th at 6 p.m. EDIT, so Eastern Daylight. I don't know what the IT is, but I mean, I know what the T is, but what is the I in that?
None of that makes any sense because it's not daylight savings.
So, maybe I'm not right. Well,
maybe it's some other area.
Oops. Hold on. Huh.
You know what I just realized? That says edit, so I wonder if that's an error.
Yeah, I'm looking that up.
We're supposed to come back to.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you're right. That's funny. Because I'm looking it up going, is that a time zone that I don't know about?
Right.
Okay, so and it concludes October 13th. So I think that was like a holding thing. They didn't know exactly when it was going to be done.
Right.
But I just pulled this, so they still haven't fixed it. Yeah, no. Oh, it's EDT. So
Okay.
yeah,
So they just had an extra
letter in there
or whatever.
It might have actually been an edit, and they didn't edit it out. So anyway.
By the way, the EDT is wrong, but we get the point.
Oh my gosh. So you have to actually convert, because if it really is EDT, but it's not EDT, then you have to.
Then it's an hour off. But no, we're gonna go with 6 p.m.
We'll just leave it alone. Well, this is a hot mess article. So anyway,
it was done quickly.
It was articles done quick by Engadget. So past GDQ events have raised large sums for charity, including Awesome Gums. That helped patients from bad dentists. So Awesome Games Done Quick 2024, which brought in $2.5 million for cancer research, and Summer Games Done Quick 2024, which brought in $2.55 million for Doctors Without Borders. And back in 2017, the organization raised $225,000 for Hurricane Harvey. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in non-sequitur news. A Ryanair Boeing plane caught fire on a runway in Italy while taxiing for takeoff. That's right, Ryanair in Italy was delayed after fumes were seen coming out of the aircraft. 184 passengers and crew disembarked, placed on a replacement flight, and it just comes days after another Ryanair flight had its tires blow out while landing in Milan. So Italy is the new San Francisco.
That's right. Well, when this headline appeared, I actually thought it was the same incident because it seemed like the same location and airline, and but no, it was not.
Just Boeing is an amazingly popular plane manufacturer, so their planes are everywhere. But then
true, but the number of incidents is definitely increasing.
Adita Barad over at businessinsider.com put the article together, and yeah, they basically say what we just got done saying. But flight FR 8826 from Brindisi to Turin, I guess Brindisi to Turin, a city near Italy's border with France, caught fire on Thursday. Not the city near Italy's border with France.
That's good, and not the border with France.
And not the border with France. Yeah, the border with France caught fire today. Dear God, global warming is real. When borders are now. So the 8-year-old passenger, it's only 8. Aww. Should it be flying? Come on. It's only 8 years old.
It doesn't even have a driver's license.
It's barely eating its SpaghettiOs on its own. Or meth. But according to flight tracking website FlightAware. So the airline said in a statement, "Holy shit, our plane's on fire?" No. That's not what it says. I'm sorry. So the 8-year-old passenger jet was a Boeing 737 MAX 8. The airline said that all 184 passengers and crew were evacuated safely from the plane and flown to Turin on a replacement flight. Hopefully not another 737, blah, blah, blah. Wow. Everything okay? All right.
Well, we'll see. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. So the incident at Brindisi comes after another Ryanair's flight had its tires blow out. And there was another one where that wasn't this one, was it? Was it this the one that had a 500-foot long gouge in the tarmac? I'm not sure. So I think both Airbus, that other one was an Airbus, and Boeing need to significantly improve quality control, says O'Leary, who told Financial Times that. So Michael O'Leary, Ryanair CEO Michael O'Leary, called on Boeing to improve its quality control following an incident with Alaska Airlines. Its door detached during a flight, forcing pilots to make an emergency landing. So everything old is continuing. But quality control aside, there needs to be checks, and who knows if the checks were done. It's not in. I don't know. Is that how that works? Like, is the quality control and maintenance and all of that always provided by Boeing, not by some tech?
Provided by the airline.
I'm really sorry. You're really quiet. All right, let's keep moving though. The next article is over in Reality Hacker. NASA Mars rover has a giant hole in one of its wheels. Oh, it is Curiosity rover is falling apart, but plucky rover keeps on rolling. The article is over at Digital Trends. It is this one, and I had seen this. They've known about this. There's been a lot of little dents and dings inside the tire. All of the tires are getting damaged because it's rolling over these rocks. And this stuff is very, very thin. And
wow, it looks like it's made out of like tissue paper or something.
Yeah, they had to keep it light so that it could roll around. And, first off, get there and then roll around. And so Trevor Mogg over at Digital Trends put the article together. A photo recently beamed to Earth by NASA's trusty Curiosity. Yes, rover shows significant damage to its middle right wheel, but the vehicle is still able to traverse the red planet's rocky terrain without too much difficulty.
You know what? They should be building Boeing tires.
Out of this? Yeah.
I think so.
Considering its lifespan was supposedly something like 6 months or something like that, and now it's going on how many years? How long has it been there?
I think it's about 20 years or something.
12.
Oh, okay.
Close. 20 miles, but 12 years. So across the challenging Martian surface, which is a whole lot of rolling for a tiny little vehicle. It's actually bigger than you think, but each wheel is 50 centimeters in diameter, 40 centimeters wide, and was machined from a single block of aluminum. So I think therein lies the rub. While it is a contiguous piece, I think composite materials would be more robust in that space. And
so are you saying that Ryanair or Boeing should be making this?
I think Boeing should be making its tires and brakes, and Airbus should be making its brakes. Now, one of Curiosity's remote operators said in 2014 that when the team examined some images of Curiosity's wheel early in the mission, we saw a hole that was much larger than we had expected. This did not match anything we'd seen in our tests. We didn't know what was causing it. We didn't know if it was going to continue. And I remember hearing about this way back then as well. It's not actually a big surprise that Curiosity's wheels are looking a little tattered and torn, as holes started appearing as early as 2013, just a year after it touched down on the distant planet. Yeah, there was a lot of fear about just what was going to happen with this vehicle, because it seemed like it was deteriorating a lot faster than they anticipated. But guess what?
But maybe it did the thing, like it got all dinged up early and then it's just kind of chugging away.
That's what I do with my cars. I hit them, I beat them with a hammer, and then nobody tries to steal it. And my insurance has gone down.
I thought you were going to say you crashed into a police car at 113 miles per hour.
Without permission. I asked for forgiveness, not permission. Let's keep moving. The next article is over, and our last one for the time machine is over in the Mobile Channel. McDonald's Big Mac turns chicken. That's right. I still think that they missed calling it a McChicken. McDonald's is putting the McChicken rumors to... It's not a McChicken. They're calling it the Chicken Big Mac.
That would be a better name.
I think so too. Francisco Velasquez put this article together. It's over at QZ.com. The limited time offer is hitting U.S. locations later this month, October 10th, to be more precise. The company announced that a limited time sandwich is hitting a menu October 10th.
Do you think it's going to test, and then if it's a massive hit, they're just going to bring it in?
I hope so, because I would rather have a chicken Big Mac. As to whether the special sandwich qualifies as a Big Mac, McDonald's said it's not a Big Mac. It's a chicken Big Mac, and it's replacing the usual beef patties with 2 tempura chicken patties.
Right. It's not a Big Mac.
Oh, it's not a Big Mac. Yeah. So, but it's a McChicken. Come on. They should call it a McChicken. A big McChicken. I think so.
They could just call it a big chicken.
Oh, it's the big chicken. The fighting chickens. So rumors of the big sandwich first emerged in late August, and a popular Instagram influencer, Snackolator, hinted at its return. Earlier this year, McDonald's announced it was testing the Big Arch in 3 international markets, including Canada. I'm losing my voice. The burger, considered to be bigger than a Big Mac, has yet to debut in the U.S. Company executives did not confirm whether it would anytime soon, and it's because they're too busy raising their prices and limiting options.
I like that they have 3 international markets and they list 2.
Yeah, what is that? 3 international markets, including Canada and Portugal.
Guess the 3rd.
Jeez. Anyway, the Chicken Big Mac is the latest in a string of promotions from the burger joint. Recently, McDonald's extended its $5 meal deal until December. It also launched a collector's meal promotion in April that merged Happy Meals with a popular character like Barbie and Shrek. You know what I want? I want Shrek Barbie. Yeah, I want a Barbie that's Shrek.
The colors would be a little strange together.
Don't yuck my yum. All right. Well, anyway, let's reset the time machine, and that'll snap us back to the front page, but we're still on the 4th. Oh, look at that. Yay. Anyway, go over and become a citizen, and we're going to reset real quick, and we're going to do October 5th's time machine. Or no, it's not a time machine, but anyway, October 5th. You know what? We need to go because there's something weird happening in hometown. So, see you in a little bit. I am Mayor Watt, and the sentient AI is going to say, what the heck is going on?
What the heck is going on? Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. See you later.
We'll be back. Bye-bye. Why is my screen black?